Your grandmother had a dish she made every Sunday that took her all day Saturday to prepare, and you haven't thought about it in 30 years. That's exactly what this video is about. There was a whole category of American dinner that has quietly vanished from the table. Meals that were built around the icebox, planned a day ahead, chilled overnight, and served cold. 25 of them, to be exact. And one of them, the very last one on this list, is the dish that almost nobody realizes they actually grew up eating. We'll get there. These were real family meals. Not side dishes, not garnishes. Dinners. And they have almost completely disappeared from American kitchens. We're going to go through every single one, how they were made, why families made them, and why they stopped. These are 25 forgotten icebox dinners from the 1950s. No one makes any more. Let's count them down. Number 25, Jellied Tomato Aspic. This one looks the strangest to modernize, so let's start here and get your trust right away. Tomato aspic was a savory gelatin mold. Tomato juice, lemon juice, a little seasoning, poured into a ring mold, and left in the icebox overnight until it set up firm enough to slice like a cake. And it was sliced like a cake. Right down the middle, served on a bed of lettuce, sometimes with cottage cheese or shrimp salad, spooned into the center of the ring. This was a Sunday dinner centerpiece, not a side dish, the centerpiece. In the 1950s, gelatin dishes signified modernity, abundance, and a hint of status tied to refrigeration and convenience. If you put a tomato aspic on the table, it told every guest at dinner that you had planned ahead, that you had an icebox cold enough to hold it, that you were, in the language of that era, a good homemaker. Sweet and savory Jell-O salads, such as tomato aspic, hit peak popularity in the 1950s, but ultimately fell out of favor in the 1970s and 1980s as home cooks started moving away from processed foods. Today, it's almost gone entirely. Number 24, ham salad icebox sandwiches. Ground leftover ham mixed with mayonnaise, sweet pickle relish, and mustard. Spread between slices of white bread, wrapped tightly in wax paper, and stacked in the icebox to firm up before serving. Families made a big batch on Sunday, and those sandwiches sat in the icebox all night, so Monday's lunch or dinner was already handled. Monday was wash day. There was no time to cook. The icebox did the work the night before, so the family could eat without anyone standing over a stove. Simple, practical, gone. Number 23, deviled egg icebox platter. Hard-boiled eggs halved, yolks mashed with mayonnaise, mustard, and a dash of paprika, piped back into the whites and chilled on a wax paper-covered platter until firm. This was the dish every potluck and church supper expected someone to bring, and it lived in the icebox from the moment it was assembled until the moment it left the house. The icebox wasn't just storage here, it was the finishing step. The chill is what made the filling hold its shape when you picked one up. Deviled eggs still exist today, but the careful overnight icebox chill, the wax paper, the platter, that whole ritual is gone. Number 22, icebox meatloaf slices. Meatloaf made the night before, chilled solid overnight, then sliced cold the next day for sandwiches or served with a smear of ketchup and a side of potato salad. This was not an accident or a leftover situation. Mothers doubled the recipe on purpose. The second half went straight into the icebox, knowing it would be tomorrow's cold dinner. Cold meatloaf was a deliberate strategy, not a consolation prize. The icebox turned one cooking session into 2 meals, and that mattered enormously in households running on tight budgets and tight schedules. Number 21, perfection salad. The name tells you everything about how the 1950s thought about food. The perfection salad, invented in 1904, was a popular savory dish that combined shredded cabbage and bell peppers with vinegar and lime-flavored gelatin. By the 1950s, it had evolved into a molded salad packed with shredded cabbage, carrots, and celery, set in a lemon or lime gelatin base. and chilled for hours until it held its shape when you unmolded it onto the plate. Gelatin and Jell-O were very common and favorite ingredients for 1950s cooks, and the use of gelatin in a powdered format was very popular at the time, considered an integral part of the domestic science movement. Perfection salad required an icebox that could hold a reliable, steady chill. Before widespread refrigeration, not every household could pull it off. Owning one and making this dish was a quiet flex. Number 20. Cold macaroni salad with hard-boiled egg. Elbow macaroni, mayonnaise, diced celery, sweet pickle, and chopped hard-boiled egg. Made in the morning, left in the icebox all day, served at the evening meal. This was a hot weather staple, and the reason it was made hours ahead wasn't just convenience, it was flavor. The macaroni absorbed the dressing as it sat. The celery softened slightly. The whole thing came together in a way it never would if you made it and served it immediately. The icebox was the ingredient, nobody listed in the recipe. Number 19. Icebox fruit cocktail salad. Canned fruit cocktail folded into whipped cream or Cool Whip with mini marshmallows and sometimes shredded coconut, chilled in a bowl until firm enough to scoop. This sat on the dinner table as both a side dish and an unofficial dessert. That dual purpose was completely intentional. Frugal, 1950s kitchens were always looking for ways to stretch one dish into two roles. You put the fruit cocktail salad on the table with the main course, and it covered the sweet course too. Nobody complained. Number 18. Cold meat and cheese icebox loaf. Layers of sliced bologna, cheese, and pimento spread pressed into a loaf pan and chilled overnight until it held together enough to slice like a terrine. Sliced thin and served on crackers. This was a card party dish, an evening company dish, something you made a full day ahead and pulled out of the icebox without any last-minute work. The whole point was that the host could be present with guests instead of disappearing into the kitchen. The icebox made that possible. And here's something worth pausing on. Almost every dish in this countdown shares that same logic. The icebox wasn't just keeping food cold, it was buying time. It was giving families and hostesses a way to separate the labor of cooking from the moment of eating. That idea, that you could cook today and eat tomorrow, shaped an entire generation of American meals. Keep that in mind, because the last dish on this list is the one that carried that idea furthest. We'll get there. Number 17. Icebox potato salad with mustard dressing. Boiled potatoes, hard-boiled egg, and onion tossed in a tangy mustard mayonnaise dressing. Always made hours ahead, often the night before, because everyone knew potato salad tasted better after a long chill. The icebox didn't just keep this safe, it improved it. The potatoes absorbed the dressing. The onion mellowed. This was the dish that traveled to every picnic in America, and the icebox was what made it safe to transport and hold for hours in the summer heat. Number 16. Congealed cranberry salad. Whole berry cranberry sauce combined with crushed pineapple and chopped walnuts, set in cherry or raspberry gelatin, unmolded onto a lettuce leaf. This was a holiday table fixture specifically because it had to be made the day before. The icebox did the overnight work while the cook focused on everything else. It was the dish that was already done when everything else was still in progress. Gelatin salads exploded in popularity from the 1930s through the 1960s, hitting their absolute peak during the post-war suburban boom of the 1950s. This wasn't just a passing food trend, it was a cultural phenomenon. For decades, no potluck, church supper, or holiday dinner was complete without one. Number 15. Icebox rolls. Refrigerator yeast rolls. A yeast dough enriched with butter and sugar mixed the night before and left to rise slowly in the icebox, then pinched off and baked fresh the next evening. This gave a busy mother hot rolls on the table without any of the labor-intensive kneading and rising the day of dinner. The slow, cold rise in the icebox actually developed flavor in the dough that a quick same-day rise couldn't match. These rolls were lighter, more tender, and tasted better, and all the hard work happened the night before while the family slept. Number 14. Chicken salad with grapes. Icebox chilled. Diced cooked chicken mixed with mayonnaise, chopped celery, and halved seedless grapes, packed into a covered dish and chilled for several hours before being served on lettuce or between bread. This was the go-to way to use up a Sunday roast chicken. Monday's leftovers became a dish that felt intentional rather than reheated. The grapes were the detail that made it feel special. A little sweetness, a little crunch, something that told you this wasn't just thrown together. The icebox was what made it possible to prep it Sunday night and have it ready without any Monday morning work. Number 13. Icebox cucumber and sour cream salad. Thinly sliced cucumbers and onions soaked in sour cream, vinegar, and dill, left to marinate in the icebox for at least a few hours, so the vegetables would soften and take on the tangy flavor. This was considered a light side dish, often served alongside heavier fried or roasted mains in summer. The marinating time wasn't optional, it was the whole point. A cucumber salad made and served immediately is just raw cucumber in dressing. A cucumber salad that's been in the icebox for 4 hours is something else entirely. Soft, tangy, cold, and deeply flavored all the way through. Number 12. Pineapple cheese icebox salad. Crushed pineapple mixed with softened cream cheese and a bit of gelatin, poured into a mold and chilled until firm, then topped with a dollop of mayonnaise or whipped cream at serving. Despite sounding like a dessert, this was served as a savory side salad alongside ham or pork dinners. The sweet-savory combination that sounds strange today was completely normal in 1950s cooking. Fruit with meat was a standard pairing, and the icebox mold format made it feel elegant and intentional rather than thrown together. If you've been watching this long, you probably remember one of these dishes from a grandparent's table. Drop it in the comments. Which one was it? And if you want more videos like this, subscribe now so you don't miss the next one. We do these countdowns regularly, and the comment section always turns into something special. Number 11. Icebox beef and noodle casserole. Ground beef, egg noodles, and cream of mushroom soup assembled the day before and left in the icebox so the noodles could soak up the sauce, then baked fresh right before dinner. The overnight rest was considered the secret to it holding together properly once baked. These home-cooked casseroles used pre-made ingredients in scratch cooking preparations to create the perfect homemade dish. Convenience ingredients, such as canned soups, became very popular to save time in the kitchen, and casseroles were so important and appealing to women in the 1950s as they provided a hearty meal with relatively easy preparation. The icebox version took that one step further. Assemble the night before, bake the next evening, done. Number 10. Cold tongue sandwiches. Thinly sliced beef tongue, served cold on rye bread with mustard. Tongue was affordable and plentiful in the 1950s. It needed hours of simmering and then hours of chilling before it could be sliced thin enough to eat. So it was always prepared the night before. The icebox was essential. The chilling is what firmed the meat up enough to get those thin, clean slices. This dish has almost entirely vanished today, not just because of the icebox. Tongue fell out of favor as a cut of meat as Americans moved away from offal and toward boneless, familiar cuts. The icebox preparation and the ingredient itself both disappeared at the same time. Number 9. Icebox Waldorf salad. Diced apples, celery, and walnuts folded into a mayonnaise dressing, made ahead and chilled so the apples wouldn't brown and the flavors would meld. It was a dinner table regular for both weeknight meals and holiday spreads, valued because it could be prepped hours in advance. The apple-celery-walnut combination sounds simple, but the icebox chill was what made the mayonnaise dressing coat everything evenly, and the flavors come together as one dish instead of 3 separate ingredients sitting in a bowl. Number 8. Jellied chicken loaf. Cooked, shredded chicken suspended in a savory gelatin made from chicken broth, poured into a loaf pan, and chilled until firm enough to unmold and slice. This was considered an elegant cold entree for warm weather dinners or ladies' luncheons. Until the mid-19th century, jellied dishes were very much considered elite food, primarily because of how long it took to render the collagen from animal bones. French chefs used aspic, clear, set meat stock, to encase fish, poultry, and vegetables in molded, chilled forms, and these presentations highlighted the ingredients in a visually striking way. By the 1950s, home cooks were doing the same thing with packaged gelatin and leftover chicken. The elegance was now accessible to anyone with an icebox. Number 7. Icebox coleslaw with sweet vinegar dressing. Shredded cabbage and carrot tossed in a sweetened vinegar oil dressing rather than mayonnaise, made the morning of dinner and left in the icebox so the cabbage would wilt slightly and absorb the tang. Many families specifically preferred this style of slaw over mayonnaise-based versions because it held up in the icebox for days without turning watery. Mayonnaise slaw gets soggy. Vinegar slaw gets better. That was common knowledge in 1950s kitchens, and it informed which version families made when they knew they'd be eating it over several days. Number 6. Cold ham and bean salad. Diced ham combined with canned kidney or navy beans, chopped onion, and a mustard vinaigrette, chilled for hours before serving as a main dish on hot nights when no one wanted the oven on. This was an economical way to stretch a small amount of ham into a full family dinner. The beans were the filler, the ham was the flavor. The mustard vinaigrette was the thing that tied it together, and it needed those hours in the icebox to penetrate the beans and make the whole dish taste like something more than its parts. Number 5. Icebox lime salad with cottage cheese. Lime gelatin combined with cottage cheese, crushed pineapple, and sometimes chopped celery, poured into a mold and set overnight, unmolded onto lettuce for a light, cool side dish. This lime cheese salad was an undisputed potluck champion, typically made with lime jello, cottage cheese or cream cheese, crushed pineapple, and often nuts or marshmallows. It towed the line between salad and dessert. That pale green color and jiggly texture made it instantly recognizable on any 1950s buffet table. You knew exactly what it was the moment you saw it. Today, most people under 50 have never tasted it. Number 4. Cold-baked ham with icebox mustard sauce. A whole baked ham chilled overnight, then sliced cold, served with a tangy mustard mayonnaise sauce that was mixed the night before and left in the icebox to let the flavors deepen. This was the centerpiece for cold suppers on hot summer Sundays, when the oven had already been used earlier in the day, and nobody wanted to heat the kitchen again. The ham did its work in the morning. The mustard sauce sat in the icebox all day getting better. By supper time, both were cold, ready, and needed nothing but a knife and a plate. Number 3. Icebox egg salad. Stuffed tomatoes. Chopped hard-boiled egg mixed with mayonnaise and mustard, stuffed into hollowed-out tomatoes, and chilled until serving. This showed up constantly at 1950s luncheons and light summer dinners, valued because both the filling and the tomatoes could be prepped hours ahead with no last-minute work. The tomato shell kept the egg salad cold and contained. The icebox kept the whole thing firm. You pulled it out, set it on a plate, and it looked like you'd spent the afternoon in the kitchen when really you'd done everything that morning. Number 2. Cold-pressed chicken. Chicken loaf pressed in a pan. A whole chicken boiled, deboned, and pressed tightly into a loaf pan with its own gelatinous broth, weighted down and chilled overnight until it set into a sliceable loaf. This was a resourceful way to use every part of a boiled chicken, popular in households that couldn't afford to waste any meat. The natural gelatin in the broth did the binding. The weight pressed it into a dense, clean slicing loaf. The icebox set it overnight. And what came out the next day was something that looked almost too deliberate to have come from a frugal necessity. It looked like a dish from a restaurant. It tasted like a dish from a grandmother's kitchen. And now, number 1, the last one. The one almost nobody realizes they grew up eating. Number 1, icebox banana pudding. Layers of vanilla wafers, sliced bananas, and vanilla custard assembled in a dish and left in the icebox for several hours so the wafers would soften into a cake-like texture. This is the dish. the one that doesn't feel like it belongs on this list because it still exists. But the version that exists today is not the same dish. The 1950s version required hours in the icebox, not the refrigerator, the icebox. The chill time wasn't a suggestion, it was the transformation. The wafers go in crisp and come out soft, almost spongy, soaked through with custard. The bananas mellow. The whole thing becomes one unified texture instead of separate layers. In many 1950s households, this rounded out a light summer dinner and was considered as much a fixture of the icebox as any savory dish on this list. It wasn't a dessert that happened to be cold. It was an icebox dish that happened to be sweet, and that distinction, that the cold was the cooking, is the thing that connects every single dish in this countdown. From the tomato aspic at number 25 to the banana pudding right here at number 1, every one of these meals was built on the same idea. The icebox wasn't storage, it was the last step in the recipe. That's what made 1950s icebox cooking different from anything that came before or after. These weren't meals that got put away cold. They were meals that became themselves in the cold. The chill was the technique. And when the icebox became the refrigerator, and the refrigerator became something people stopped thinking about, that whole category of cooking quietly disappeared. Not because the food was bad, because the mindset behind it was forgotten. 25 dishes, one idea, and now you know both. If you remember any of these from a family table, a grandmother's congealed salad, a pressed chicken loaf, a cold ham supper on a Sunday night, leave it in the comments. Those stories are the best part of these videos, and they keep this community going. If you're new here, subscribe for more content just like this.